Now that we've reached the halfway point, I don't want to waste any more time, and I need to get everybody working on a resume and getting you some behavioral interviewing practice. So I have this presentation that I'd like to go through with you, and we'll take a look at those two things. First thing we're going to take a look at is the resume. This is a resume I put together for my son several years ago, and I would like to point out that the different sections on this resume. So up at the top, you have personal information. You have your name, your address, your cell phone number, and your email address. And it's very, very important that all of this information is correct. Having a mistake in this section is a deal killer. So make sure that your personal information is correct. Imagine having the wrong phone number and you're sitting at home wondering, wonder why they haven't called yet. Well, maybe they've tried to call 30 times, but the number's wrong and there's nothing they can do. So always make sure that your contact information is correct. The next section we have is the objective. The objective is going to be a sentence or two that says, I am applying for fill in the blank job. This is what I will bring to the job, and this is what you will get from me. So it's sort of a statement of, I want this job. Here's what you're going to get from me, and here's what I'm going to get from the experience. Usually you're going to talk about growth and skill building. The next section I have is profile. The reason why this is not a standard section on a resume, but this is a limited to no experience resume, and you always want to order your categories on a resume from strongest to weakest. So having your character profile at the top would be your strongest section for a no experience resume. So we have things in here, for example, excellent attendance record, integrity and work ethic, and we'll get into that in a second. Outstanding communication skills. He had his Washington State driver's license and reliable transportation. He was focused on customer service. He was proficient with Microsoft Office, so he was able to use Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. It would be okay to substitute that with Google Suite if you're comfortable with Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides. Solid attention to detail and detail-oriented. Able to work calmly and productively in a high-stress, fast-paced work environment. Strict adherence to policies and procedures. Safety-oriented and can work without need of supervision as an individual or as a member of a team. Every single one of those is gold to an employer. So if you want to steal any of those, as long as they're true, for your resume, feel free to take those. Just make sure that they are true for you. For example, on the communication skills, if you're not currently taking ASL, don't put that you're currently taking ASL. All right, in the next section, we have synopsis of achievements. These are awards and recognitions that Brady had gotten while he was in school, and other project work that he had accomplished. So he was in honors level classes. He worked on a two-man team to complete a bathroom remodel and renovation project, which included tile work, flooring, and ceiling. Guess who he was working with on that project? Me. So it looks great on a resume, and the person reviewing your resume would not know that that was a project that you had worked with your family member on. General home maintenance and yard upkeep for neighbors, including mowing, raking, roof and gutter cleaning, pressure washing, pet care, grocery item pickup, and transportation. He has helped our neighbors for years, and he's also done those things around our house. So again, it's just in how you're wording it to make it look more professional. He was also a member of the Prairie High School tennis team for 2 years. There are some Hayes Freedom things that you could put in there. For example, if you've ever received the Proud, Kind, Fearless Award, or if you were ever Student of the Month, you could put those in there. They look great, and the person reviewing your resume is not going to know that that is a slip of paper that went into the office. It just looks really good. And if you were put in by a teacher for that, that was recognition well deserved. There's a place for that on your resume. Employment. You see under employment, we have Pam Stauffer in Vancouver, Washington. Pam was our neighbor. So this was the neighbor that Brady would house sit for and do general maintenance for her. And if you look at the things that he's done, he did house sitting. He took care of her cat whenever she would leave town. She would help her clean her roof and do gutter cleaning. She would do yard care, which include trimming, weeding, and raking. She didn't have any lawn to mow, so mowing isn't on there. Miscellaneous services as requested. Brady would do transportation, grocery item pickup, furniture moving, etc. So anything that you've done that shows responsibility and commitment can go into an employment section. And there's a lot of different ways to fine tune that. You don't necessarily have to have a person's name, although it looks really good to have a person's name or an employer's name on there. And I can help you all with that. And then your last section is going to be education. And the reason why we're putting that last is because it's still in progress. You haven't completed that education yet. So it's actually your weakest category right now. Once you graduate, you might be able to move that up a spot or two. Let's say that you had your master's degree in education. That master's degree would probably be your strongest attribute. And so education would probably be section number 1. But for a no experience resume, you're going to want to go with your character and your characteristics. All right, so let's take a look at some key items for putting together a great resume. Number 1, make sure your resume is correct, accurate, and updated. Make sure that it is formatted and consistent. If you take a look at this resume, all of my bullets are in a line. Nothing seems out of whack, and the overall presentation of the resume seems very balanced. Make sure that it is error-free. I will tell you that when I review resumes, when I find mistakes, especially super obvious mistakes like spelling, I will use those and I'll pick at those in a resume. And what that does is it makes the person start feeling kind of uncomfortable, and it raises that stress level, and it allows me to get a look at how they deal with stress. And then make sure that it's concise. A resume should fit on 1 page. And there's tricks that we can do. If you're over 1 page, that's fantastic that we have all that information, but we need to get it down to a single page, and I can help you with that too. Make sure that your resume contains keywords that match the job you're applying for. Skills, we'll talk more about that a little bit later. Skills that match the job you're applying for, and achievements that the employer would value. So let's say you can do a kickflip on a skateboard. If you're not applying for a job at a skateboard shop, they're probably not going to care to see that on there. And I would not put something like that on a resume. So be careful with your hobbies and personal interests. If they make you look better to the employer, put them on there. If they are not applicable, then let's leave them off. So a couple of tips. Use a resume builder. The internet is full of examples of resumes and resume templates. I'm a Microsoft Word guy, so I go in there and I do a resume template. I find one that I think is beautiful, and I will start filling in my information from one of those templates. If you go to Indeed.com or Resume Hero, they have resume builders for free. And then those put together a very nice looking resume. Be careful though, some of those have you fill in sections and then it plugs them into a resume, so you don't really have any control over the formatting itself. And I would hate to see anybody get about an hour or two into one of those websites and then they hit finish and bam, the resume looks all weird and they can't correct it. So just be aware that some sites do that. Use your resources. Ask a teacher to review it. Ask a parent to review it. Use Google searches, thesaurus.com if you're using the same word over and over again, or if you want to use a better word. Your friends even. If you have another set of eyes take a look at your resume, they are more likely to catch a mistake than you will. And very important, only use positives. Do not put anything negative on your resume, and we'll get to that in a second. And remember, your resume represents you when you can't be there. So you want to make sure that your resume is positive, complete, and has a full picture of who you would be as an employee, because you're not there when they're looking at this piece of paper. You can't explain something, so the paper needs to be able to stand on its own and explain things for itself without you being there. All right, so we're going to stop on resume right now. The next section is going to be behavioral interviewing. I'm going to do this in 2 separate videos. So I will see you guys in a minute in the other video.